Ledger has brought back Ledger Recover to a little bit of, well, maybe not surprising, a lot of hate from crypto Twitter. Kai, what happened here, and is this hate warranted?
Yeah, so we talked about this. I forget when they tried to launch, maybe the beginning of the summer, I feel like it was. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, so for those that don't remember what Ledger Recover is, basically it is a optional way that you can sign in, you pay a subscription fee, and basically they will segment your seed phrase and then basically give it to or allow a couple others to custody it for you in these segments. And then in the event that you lose your seed phrase, you can basically get the segments back. So it's like encrypted and then also split up. You can get the segments back and then you can recover your Ledger wallet, which is something obviously that's really needed because a lot of people lose their seed phrase, specifically those that are new and just coming into the space that are like, I don't know what a seed phrase is and like, I don't really care. We need some options for them. And so this is a really, really good option because the last thing you want is someone to come in, put some money into crypto and then lose it a week later. And then they're like, well, fuck, this is stupid, right? So of course, if we want to onboard new people, we need better products and services for those people. So Ledger updated their firmware and their software a couple months ago. People got wind of it, even though Ledger has announced this many, many times back then. But once they actually updated the firmware and software, people started losing their minds in the crypto Twitter world. And Ledger actually had to pull back. And they said, okay, we're not going to launch this. We're going to work on open sourcing some stuff. We're going to work on educating a little bit further. And so a few months later, and now they feel like they're ready to do it. So they've launched. Again, this is a great product for new people or for people who just don't want to put 24 words on a piece of paper and buy a vault and put it in that, right? It's a bit weird, right? But for us who've been in the space for a long time, I mean, it's kind of it's normalized for us, but it's not for everyone else. So I was going to say funny thing, but it's actually not that funny. The thing that sucks here is they launched this, they put it out, they announced it on Twitter. And then when I go through the comments here, there's just people ripping Ledger apart. And so you have, let's see the first one here. This person, Seth for Privacy. Okay, I guess his name says why he's the one doing this. Says, if you use this service, you are signing up for simple seizure of funds if Ledger willingly or unwillingly due to government pressure decides to collaborate with one of the other storage providers. Please do not use this service. And Ledger's like, hey, it's completely optional. You don't have to use it, but some people, they might want to use it. Then you got someone else who comments and says, did you end up open sourcing your firmware like you said you were going to? If not, you shouldn't be announcing this. Just a bunch of people that are basically bashing this whole thing. And the reason that this sucks is for the average person that is like, oh, cool, I don't have to put my seed phrase on a piece of paper. I can use this service. They come and they look at this thing and now they're thinking, oh, I'm going to lose all my money if I use this. I'm going to lose all my money if I use Ledger, which is probably the most secure and best hardware device that we have in the space that's for mainstream. And so it starts to confuse people and it deters people from being in this industry at all, right? There's a lot of people that like will tweet out and announce like, oh, I'm into crypto. I bought ETH, I bought whatever. And then all of a sudden the Bitcoin maxes come in and go, oh, that's some centralized shitcoin pre-mined, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, wait, what? I thought I was buying the future of finance and the future of tech. And then they're like, but what's all this stuff? And most people are not in it enough to like decipher between what's real and what's not, what's good and what's bad. And so it becomes this like weird, confusing thing to onboard people. And so just my main problem is like, look, again, and we talked about this in so much detail before, if you have a lot of money in this space, if you really are afraid that the government is going to try and seize your money, then you can have your Ledger or whatever hardware wallet you want, and you can write your seed phrase down on a piece of paper, and you can lock it up in a vault, and then you're all good, and you don't have to worry. Your money is safe. Most people are not that contrarian and do not have that view and just want to speculate a little bit, have some fun. And if they want to do that and it's not a millions and millions of dollars and they're not necessarily afraid that their government is going to come to Ledger and ask specifically for their seed phrase, which they can't really do, but technically I guess you could, like, let them use that. It's completely fine. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't impact you. And then the key thing is that Ledger launching this doesn't impact anyone's Ledger unless you opt into the service. You have to opt into it. So like, it doesn't impact anyone. And it's a good thing for new people that just need this and are on the same level as others. So let's just try to be a little more rational and help people.
It's so crazy to me. Most people do not care about self-custody. It flat out, like they don't. And look, if you really do care about self-custody and self-sovereignty, and you believe that the rest of the world should, then spend your time teaching the world about that and producing content around that. But don't sit on your high horse and yell anytime a company doesn't follow to the perfect, solution how you think self-custody should be done, because that's not how we achieve mass adoption here. Seed phrases are a massive UX problem. It is literally the reason that a lot of people do not enter this space. So you should be celebrating when there's any company that's making it easier for an average person who's only going to have a couple $100 in their wallet, average person, for them to manage that and for them to use NFTs and for them to get involved on chain. Let's freaking celebrate that, not put these companies down for everything that they're doing. It would be like at the beginning of like cell phones being like, oh, no, fuck cell phones. Like we should only stick to desktop. Like, oh, I don't believe in cell phones. What, nuts?
There's always trade-offs. This is the thing that I think is hard for people to wrap their heads around. It's like there's a spectrum, right? Just like in the normal world where you have money, if you have a lot of money, you might put it in a vault in Switzerland under a mountain with armed guards. And if you have a little bit of money and you don't care so much, you're not so afraid, and you live in a safe place, you might just put it in a shoebox under your bed because maybe you want to access it tomorrow, right? Instead of spending a couple months to try to get your money out of a vault. Like there's trade-offs, and there's different things, different products and services for different people, and that's completely okay.